Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. How's it going, everybody? Oh, glad to have y'all here. And we're just gonna keep playing our Sork that we're leveling up, hanging out, having some fun, relaxing, answering some questions. If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Farewell.
I'll be answering as many questions as I can, as completely as I can, but if you want to get it through to me, please put at Last Epoch Game in the question so I see it in chat. Yeah. Good rocking and rolling. Oh. Great start. Also, we stream for charity here. Right above my head, International Animal Rescue is our charity this month. We'll have a new one next stream. And yeah. How's your day going so far? My day's going pretty good so far, actually. Got a nasty bug fix this morning, which I was quite pleased about. It's gonna be way too hot in here, so we're taking socks off. It's okay, I don't share the office with anyone. Let me just remember what I was doing with this build. Zip zaps up. What corruption level do you aim for when balanced building skills? 300 is usually a pretty good point. I know there's people that get a lot higher than that with some builds. But 300 is usually the expected high tier build. And you can kind of see that reflected in the oh Jesus, come on. I literally took my hands off the keyboard and mouse because I was gonna illustrate something. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you can tell based on the point which stuff stops unlocking. So there's new tiers of like breakpoints for the blessings. The number of blessings that you get unlocked goes up to 5 per timeline boss kill at I think 200 corruption. And then there's I think Omni drops at 200 as well? Question mark. So 300 is sort of like a good chunk above that, but not crazy. That's kind of where we look at usually. Did I use the acid flask sound effect, I think. Filter on? Yeah, it's just doing basically nothing though. Let's do something real quick here. We're gonna show all rarity. We're gonna go set unique exalted. Slap that down. Then we're gonna go hide all class requirement. I'm gonna set no acolyte rogue. Still want to see the unique, so we'll put that down here. I know that's gonna hide some really good items, but I have the luxury of being developer. That's totally using acid flasks. That's totally using acid flask sound. Was that the hulking overgrowth uses acid flask sound for its multi-poison pool spit attack? I swear I'll wake up. I swear. It's been a bit of a week. I'm blaming it on the. You might hear in my voice. Hey, look, a beer. The kid's been sick this week. He's having a real tough day. How come you guys are awesome and are making a great game? Well, it all started. Wait, no. I don't know. We just like video games. I mean, like, if we want to look for like a catalyst event, it's probably Judd's disappointment at the release of a game many, many years ago. Couldn't handle one. Makes you think I can handle two. Okay. I mean, we gotta do a little bit of work on this thing. But let's take a crack at it. Let's get this cold damage rerolled. I know we do cold damage, but not much. Mana regen I'll take. Crit chance I'll take. Dodge ring, we don't need that either, but that's not gonna get rolled away. Let's do crit, I think. Yeah, can we sneak in another one? Fire res, let's sneak fire res in there. That's gotta be better, right? Maybe not. Should've looked at what I was using first. Yeah, let's just use that. Fools! Fools! Love it every time. Alright. Is there any sort of class fantasy you'd like to see in your game that isn't there yet? Oh, definitely. There's quite a few that I'd really like to like. There's lots of different ones that lots of different people on the team have that they'd like to see. So I'm gonna give you my personal favorites that I'd like to see added, not the ones that I think will be added soon. If that makes any sense. So I'd really like to see, and this also isn't a reflection of the ones that I just mean that don't draw conclusions for or against either way of what's going to be added when, based on this. But the big ones that I'd like to see added if I was given carte blanche to just do whatever I wanted would be the hunter archetype, so like bow pet type of build. That's a big one for me. Then I guess like an engineer type class. So someone that's using like things they're building as weapons and like various support things, I guess. So like a tinkerer engineer type class. And then a monk, like so a holy type character, like holy themed character or spiritually themed character, that also has a hand-to-hand melee combat style with a spiritual theme. That would be a big one for me personally. All right, is there any sort of are you working on any new set items? We also love game and your beard. Thank you very much. There are no set items specifically in the works right now. We took a little time off from making set items because we've been kind of waiting for that great idea to come along, that great set item idea to come along. I know there's been lots of suggestions that we've seen on the forums, and everywhere really, Discord, here, Reddit, lots of great ideas that show up. But oh, I didn't flip back, did I? Whoops. Is that using? That's using Acid Flask sound too. That's funny. This is probably just fire shifted Acid Flask. What was I saying? Oh yeah, set items. And so yeah, so we were kind of waiting on like that great idea to come along. And we do have an idea that we're pursuing for set items in general, that will help hopefully bring the mechanic into more of a complete state for launch. And I just want to be clear, when I say complete, I don't mean like no more set items, just mechanically, like I would call legendary items as like the complete state for unique items. Shouldn't it? Did I already have that done or something? Am I just a silly Billy? What is happening? Okay. Uh, yeah. On the set note, how do you balance sets around not being able to become legendaries? Yeah, so that is the big question, isn't it? Um, and we really haven't in the past. Usually we try and give the set bonuses to be pretty powerful, or pretty build enabling, I guess I want to say. Um, not really about power levels, but pretty specific, pretty niche, pretty thematic, something that is unique and different, almost like stepping into the shoes of another character that's in lore already. That's a big part of set items. So like element conversions are a big part of set items frequently, or really leaning into a specific element that's already there on the item. Like okay, well here's this set item, here's a set bonus that like you're gonna take this node with it because it just makes so much sense. And there's a lot of connections there that we try and have a strong thematic connection to set items in the world. And but as far as making the legendaries, that's the piece that I was kind of referring earlier that's sort of missing. Making like, what do we do mechanically for those set system to make it hang with legendary items? Because we were very clear that we didn't want to slap legendary potential on them, and I appreciate how it kind of just like, oh, it just makes sense, it fits, it works, yada yada yada, and it does to some degree. But like set items already cause edge cases for tooltip length, and if we were to just slap legendary potential on them, they would be able to exacerbate the problem quite a bit. So I think it's unlikely that we will do that ever, especially with what we're considering now, which I know is super vague. I'm sorry. All right, next question. Any chance to reduce the amount of arenas in Monolith? Seems I'm finding so many. Maybe. Not from me right now. I'll tell you that for sure. But it's possible. I mean, put a suggestion on the forums and that sort of thing. For some reason, last time I said this, people got quite upset at me. But in case you don't know, as a little tip, there is the names of the monoliths actually do say arena on them. So if you really don't like them, you can at least use that to avoid them. And I know sometimes there's a node behind it that's super valuable and yada yada yada, but you could reduce the number of them that you encounter a little bit, in case you didn't know. So what you're saying is Barbarian class is confirmed? No. Barbarian does fit really nicely in Primalist as an extra mastery, and we are gonna be adding masteries to the existing classes. So you'll probably see a fourth mastery all across the board before we see a sixth base class, I think. But we are, and we're not. So launch, we're saying like there's gonna be five base classes with 3 mastery classes for each base class, and they'll all have like skills and unique playstyles and all that sort of stuff at launch. And then we'll keep adding skills to them, and we'll keep adding new masteries. And post launch, it's possible that it will be lopsided at certain times. So there'll be times when we're back to the situation where we have some classes that are missing a mastery. Now, right now, the classes that have 3 masteries compared to those that have 2 masteries have 50% more masteries, which is a lot. But if it's only 33% more masteries, it's not that as bad. So we're more okay with it being lopsided post launch, some being 4 and some being 3. But we'll never see 5 until all of them are at least 4. Like, we won't see 5-3 type thing. Ooh. I mean, they're cool, but not for us. Will we see some serious work being done for Endgame before 1.0 release? Yeah, I mean, we're always working on everything, really. Endgame does need some, and this comes up pretty frequently, Endgame needs some sort of unexpected content. What I mean by that is, while you're going through a monolith, there needs to be something that happens unexpectedly. So, like, randomized content is a really easy way to, not easy way, but classic way of doing that. I guess I should probably do this, eh? People probably be like, "What are you doing, Mike? What are you doing?" I'm coming down here, right? Go this way. Let's just go this way. Yeah, so we'll see. What was I saying? Sorry. I also might be slightly sick too. Excuse me. So yeah, and end-game work. There won't be a new core mechanic. So like, this is just saying what I was saying last week. Core mechanics being dungeons and monoliths. We're not going to add in like another like core systems, core styled system like that. But we'll be improving and expanding upon the systems that we already have for 1.0, and then we'll be adding more systems in post 1.0 as well. So this is just for launch. Our endgame systems are planned to be what the endgame systems overarching are already, but just better versions of them. Alright, next question. When do you plan to fix Static Orb on Ritual Lake? It's probably nothing specific with Static Orb. It's probably just Ritual Lake. I don't know what the problem you're talking about is, but if you haven't already, please go to the forums and post a bug report about it there so we can get it looked at. Posting about it here does not count as a bug report. I play as a Cold Zork, and while I have a fantastic build right now, I never seem to find unique or set items that fully benefit my build. Alright. I'm not sure what the question is. That's unfortunate. I feel for you. RNG is a cruel mistress. Alrighty then. Next question. Is there any plans for Catalyst that are not int focused and more attunement focused? I'd say unlikely, but possible. Catalyst really is an intelligence item. I would say the likely time that we would consider having one that really breaks convention heavily, in that sense, would be more like a unique with like a special base for the unique. I'd be pretty surprised if we ever did just a regular one, like a base, a droppable, randomly droppable base item. Wow, I'm fumbling my words today. Issues. It's okay, we'll get through it together. You can help me by asking short questions. No, I'm just kidding. Any plans any plans for an easy alt leveling process? Making a new character is a ton of fun, but it can drag on. I think, but drag on through the main story into normal monos. Maybe something like being able to add reduced level requirements, so you can equip, making all uniques reduced level, so I could roll scroll build level 25 instead of 76 at the cost of the item slot, essentially. So we're definitely not going to reduce the levels of uniques like that. That's no hard no. It just causes way too many balance problems. So no. Currently, when you make a legendary item with a low level unique, it cranks the level of that legendary item up based on the highest level between the mods that are transferred onto it. If they were on a level 0 item, what level they would make that item, and whatever base level the unique is. So that's the way it works currently, and we're looking at changing it slightly so that there's a more forgiving level requirement for legendary items. So you'll be able to take low-level uniques and make better low-level leveling items with them. So there's there's that. So kind of yes, but not in the way you suggested there. The opacity is just a touch too high. There we go. All right, next question. Having never played PoE or ARPG with leagues, how do cycles work in terms of length, and what happens at the end of the cycle? Will the characters stay in the cycle separate from standard, and you can continuously grind out like standard? So there will be a singular standard cycle. I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. Maybe a stable cycle or something like that. So there'll be one standard cycle environment. Which, if you ever played Diablo 2, which is just non-ladder. So this environment is all characters that are not currently eligible to compete on the ladder. All characters that are currently eligible to compete on the ladder will be in the current cycle. So when a cycle ends, all the characters that are currently in that cycle get rolled into standard because they're no longer eligible to compete in the new ladder when that starts. And that's basically it. We'll be getting a ladder race again soon. Hopefully very soon, yeah. Next content patch is the goal, I think. I'm not sure where it's at right now. But I sure hope it's there, because it was supposed to be ready for 0.9. And we had some technical issues that caused it to not be feasible to include, unfortunately. But you know, it should be good. Ding! Get that level. Just crack that. And this way? No, but I want it. You mentioned before a desire to have bow in other classes. Yeah, I do. Like Primalist. If that happens, would there be in a new mastery or modifying an existing one? I would like Beastmaster Rambo style. I would say if we were to expand bows into multiple classes, I would say there's a good chance that it would be done kind of similarly to how Rogue has it, with select skills being functional with multiple weapons. Would be a way I'd like to do it. Maybe having some skills be bow only. If it was a new mastery, there'd probably be some skills that were bow only, and then like some at least one base class skill that would get the hybrid treatment. I'm literally talking about Serpent Strike right now. I think that would be the first one to get the hybrid treatment. If we were to do this, in the hypothetical situation that we were adding Ranger type class and we were slapping it into the Primalist, because that type also can exist in Rogue as well, really easily. That sort of Ranger type class. I've always loved the idea, and I don't think the way it's set up, I don't think this is feasible. But I've always loved the thought of trying to give one mastery class to two base classes. And I don't think it works. But I think it would be cool. I like to think of dumb things that just won't work. But it would be cool. Will Master be able to reset then? No. Quite some time ago, you mentioned one could change how small items are put / sorted in the inventory. Yeah, 2 columns instead of 1. So it plays nice with larger items. Has this idea led to some development yet? No, I haven't worked on the search and sort at all. At this point, it probably won't even be me that does it, which is a good thing for all of you. Oh, sorry if that's a little loud when I push my microphone up, but better than the coughing. What am I doing leaving this behind? I forget that I'm like playing online with an account that just like has nothing. A few times I've gone to play with friends, and my like live account, so the version that's on the live build, has so little stuff, and I'm always just like, yeah, I'll come carry you with my sweet like high level rogue, and it's gonna be awesome. And then I log in, I'm like, right, that's on the dev fleet. New discovery. Let's get some more questions in here. I'm gonna try. Whoa. I'm gonna try not to get too far behind in the questions today. I know I will. Probably already am. What's the root of the issue that results in the temporary multiplayer challenges and or recent challenges when quickly changing from casting one spell to another? It's just keeping up with the user growth on the server side. Is there a time frame for when these issues may be improved? Not complaining, enjoying the game ton. Just curious. I'm not really entirely sure what you're talking about. I had the note to let me cast this one out of mana. Interesting. Oh, right. I just looked at the teleport tree and remembered what I was doing. I'm supposed to teleport in and then Glacier and then spam Lightning Blast. The root of the issue that results in temporary multiplayer challenges. I mean, so there's just, we had to rewrite like so much of the game in order to get it working in multiplayer. So there's a lot of little bugs that I guess we just weren't prepared for. That's probably all it comes down to, I think. All right, how's your stance currently on more multipliers on skill trees, edging out a lot of choice? Are you looking at expanding the ways to augment skills with trees, or are you happy with just getting straightforward power like that through the tree? I think having some situations where there is just a more damage node is good. I think there's some really standout examples of where it doesn't work well. But there's definitely a place for it. It's not one of those things where I think there can be some extreme examples of how it should never exist or something like that, and I think it's dangerous to talk about it in that sense. This guy is like, can we scoot through here? No. Sometimes you can scoot through those things. What is going on? There's a bug. That's interesting. obviously I can't use it now. Let's see what happens when I put the point back in. Yeah, more multipliers and trees. I think there's a place for it. I think we probably leaned on them too heavily in the past, and we're still kind of catching up elsewhere. But yeah, they got a spot. Will everyone be server reset at launch? No, everyone will be moved into standard at launch. So you'll still be able to play your character. It just won't be ladder eligible. So if you want to compete in the ladder, you'll have to start a new character. Alright, may have been asked in a previous stream, probably, but that's okay, happy to answer it again. Are there plans to add more regarding gold sinks? Yes, we don't have a specific one that's like ready to go, or like, okay, the next big gold sink's going to be X. Especially given that there is there's already a gold sink that gives you items. That's all it does. It's just gold for items. It can be dangerous to give give something like that a competing similar gold sink. So if we give a gold sink that's just, hey, here's a different way to spend gold to get items, one of them's going to be better than the other. It's just a reality. Someone will do the math and someone will find out which one's better. And for all experienced players, the better one, or maybe even franchise players, people who know which one's better, will just use the better one. And there'll be a new player tips video that shows up, which will be great, and it'll just say in there, never spend your money on this, always spend your money on that, and at that point, like, what's the point in having the alternative way? You know, like, whichever one's better, the other one's just gonna get ignored, type thing. And all the people who don't know this, they fall into a noob trap, where because they don't have this knowledge, they make a potentially pretty serious mistake. And it's not something that can be figured out or reasoned or learned through just looking at the systems and figuring it out, really. Or probably wouldn't be. So I'd say yes, there's a very strong chance we'll add more gold sinks. Will they be as simple as the one that's currently there for obtaining items? No. Maybe there's like an example of a gold sink. We're not putting this in for the record, which is why I'm comfortable saying it right now. Just to be clear, we're not putting this in. Is you could put gear durability in, and suddenly you're paying for the upkeep of your gear to constantly repair your gear and such, but you're not buying item power with it. You're just maintaining what you have. So that's an example of a gold sink that is useful and people will use, but is not directly competing with the vaults. Alright, next question. How many cycles ahead is work already being done, even if it's just conceptually, if there's something you guys can say about future cycles? We have sort of like, yeah, it's hard to quantify. So there's not like we're working 6 cycles ahead or anything like that, because we have like probably realistically 2 is probably an accurate number, but we have like brainstorming pools of ideas for cycle content and mechanics that'll show up later and things like that. And so when we go to actually add something in that category, we can look at these and decide what we want to actually pull from. But it's not like there's like a list of, all right, cycle 1.1 it's gonna have this, and 1.2 is gonna have this, and or anything like that. Like, we haven't laid them out that explicitly. But there's a few things like you talk over the years, and you're like, okay, well, this has got to get in quick, so that's probably gonna be a really early cycle, so one of the first couple. You know, and this can wait a little bit, so that'll be one of the next ones after that, but it's still quick enough that we got to get it in. Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, it's Spike. I recognize that name 6 months in a row. Fantabulous. Thanks for sticking around. Drink lots of water. Alright. What is the biggest gap you see for Ellie's current gameplay loop? I.e., is there any particular way of engaging with the game that's missing that you would like to address? I think the core loop is there. Like, the really, really core loop is there. I don't think there's anything major. Maybe I'm just missing something, but I don't think there's anything major that's really missing from it. There's things like the ladder existing, and for different content than just what we've had it in the past. But I don't know if that really constitutes like a missing piece in the loop itself. There's some pretty key features missing as well, so like item factions and stuff like that I think is pretty important. But I don't think that really affects the loop too much. It does in a way. So there's kind of no reason to go back to town in a lot of situations. Which having the item factions is going to give an infrequent reason to go back to town, in that you'll want to go to the auction house, or you'll want to go to the whatever the zone is, actually it's Bazaar, sorry, and whatever the zone is that we still haven't released yet the name for, that the Circle of Fortune will be hanging out in and stuff like that. So it'd be like an infrequent reason to go back to town, which I think is necessary, just to break things up. But you do have the MREST, the Echo of a World, I think we call it, the spot in between monoliths. That kind of serves that a little bit, but you can jump through monoliths, chain them so quickly and easily that it kind of doesn't play quite the same role. I think the monolith needs a bunch of work. The monolith and dungeons need polish and upgrading and that sort of stuff to make them feel better. But it's still, the core loop's still there. So I think overall the answer is probably no. Or what is the biggest gap? This wasn't a yes/no question. I don't know. Sorry. I just found out 11th Hour Games is in my hometown. we're probably in a lot of people's hometowns. If someone was to send over breakfast tacos, how many should I send? We don't have a fixed studio location. We have like a home office address, and we have a business address. And they're probably pretty far from each other, but we don't have an office to send to, because most of us work from home. Actually, all of us work from home. Some people, I guess, have like a fixed space that they go to. It's not technically home, but yeah, we're all remote, which is sweet. So I built this office in my garage. I can't remember if I have asked this before. Single-handed spears when possible, some with Necrotic Void. I think something like that would likely only show up with a new class that really wanted them. And likely the theming on that class wouldn't lend itself too well to Necrotic and to Necrotic Void, I think, probably. Necrotic Void. Like, you might get like a unique item with it or something like that. But when I picture like one-handed spear, I think like more of a hoplite style character. So light armor, melee focus, shield, usually very rooted in physical damage, that sort of stuff. That's sort of the vibe I get from a one-handed spear. But you look at like Amazon's D2 as well, things like that. I think that's the type of aesthetic we'd be looking at more so. And someone feel free to call me out on the hoplite thing, because it's maybe it was always two-handed spears. I don't know. I guess I'm literally picturing Pantheon from LoL. or 300. Use your abilities, Mike. Ugh, what are you doing? There we go. Increased lightning damage shard. That's what we want. Let's go. Probably got quite a few of those actually, so it's not a big deal, but still good. All right, will there be a separate continuous ladder for standard and non-seasonal characters? I don't know. We don't have plans for it right now. If you want one, go leave a suggestion in the forums. How will ladders account for people playing solo models versus a team up to 4? We've gone back and forth on this so many times, and we have an answer for this question. I do not know what it is off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I think what it is it's all one ladder that will have the number of people in there as a field that you can filter by. So if you're like, okay, I want to see the solo ladder, you just like pick a drop down from solo, and it says that. I think this is what we landed on. Oh, I don't remember. I'm sorry. Someone else in chat might know. Will we ever get dual shields? Seems like they could be a buff Forge Guard needs. Yeah, so that's one that usually say like, okay, well, yeah, if we're going to introduce at this point, if we're going to introduce a new weapon combination or something like that, it would be likely with a new class. Forge Guard does fit that really well. It has a lot of stuff. So it does and it doesn't. It has a lot of stuff that says like copy your weapon. There's a lot of like forged weapon stuff that's in there, and that really doesn't work well with shields. It's doable. There's some weird stuff you can do there. There'll be a lot of changes that would need to be made in order to get that to work. We don't have any plans for it to be implemented for 1.0, but it is something that's really cool. We've definitely talked about it quite a bit. And it is possible. We may have mucked about with it. It's a joke once, and it is possible. I just want to say I love you. Thanks. And all your dev team for a great game. You guys giving us blessings. Awesome. I'm glad you're having fun. That's the key part of it all. Alright, do you think a global system to spec into addition? Do you think a global system to spec into, in addition to passives, think Grim Dawn Devotions, regardless of class, could have a place in LE? Yes, I do. We kind of have that already. And it's pretty light. It's nowhere near as in depth as Devotions, but we kind of have it already. Won't let me in there properly. Wait, I guess you can go here. Actually, just do this. Here, there it is, right there. There's a global system, regardless of class, that you can spec into. So yeah, I love it. Another one on top of that, you say? Oh, well, I don't know. I could see something like that being added significantly in the future, as a new cycle mechanic introduced. So say like, oh, there's some new thing that's being added that you can like put stuff into, and it does things. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, I can see something like that emerging down the road in more granular system. What's a dual shield? 2 shields simultaneously wielded. Will it be possible to have ladders for each party size? Yeah, like I think it'll just be a drop down in the ladder, I suspect. Sorry to clarify on the multiplayer switching fast between spells, just the lag sometimes from engaging more than a few enemies at once in Echo resulting in lag. Yeah, I mean that's just Just it's performance and optimization that we're constantly working on. That's all I can say about that. There's like that's the biggest thing that we work on is performance and optimization right now. It's the most important thing. We currently run the servers pretty lean as far as the number of clients that are connected to each server, just as a precaution to help things be better. We need, one of the most important things we can do right now is improving that ratio for the longevity of the game, really, and performance people are getting. Not much different, is it? Fair bit. I can tell you right now, before I read this question all the way out, I will not write this down because I don't write any requests down. So if you want it, go leave a comment on the forums. Please change the quest on the next room where you spend 1 hour getting a key from the east and then 2 hours from the key of the west. Return to the center, opening the bridge gate. Leave a suggestion on the forums. Hey Mike, don't remember if it was asked about or not, but will the cycle mechanics stay in standard and or future cycles after the current cycle ends, or once it ends the mechanic is gone? The current plan for the first initial set of cycles that happens is to have them be immediately rolled out to everyone and automatically rolled into everything. This is because a lot of the initial mechanics that we introduce through cycles are things that, given a magic wand, we would just include with 1.0. And we think it's important to have them as part of the game regardless. I could see in a few years from now the system changing to, or maybe less than that as well, but the system changing at some point to have like a split environment for standard and cycle. At least right now, it's a lot less work for us to not split that environment. And also the things we're introducing, we know we want to introduce anyway. So if we wait to and don't add them to standard, we know that it's going to be missed. And we know, like, there's a pretty big incentivizing factor to be like, get people to play on the ladder by saying like, hey, there's this new cool feature over on the ladder, come play the ladder. But at least initially, we don't think that's going to be something that we need to incentivize very much. And we'd rather just get the content out to everyone. Because we know a lot of people will sometimes just play the new cycle for the new content, even though they have zero interest in the ladder at all, which isn't awesome. So if we can avoid it, we'd like to. Like, I haven't actually taken a D2 ladder seriously in forever. But I still always make ladder characters, no matter what. And part of that is, yes, there's rune words that aren't available on non-ladder, yada yada yada. But they're available because so many characters have transitioned over. Hey Mike, don't remember if it was asked or not. Oh, I already answered that. Any chances of reducing the cost of stash tabs? I've got around 30 so far. My last one cost something like 300,000 gold. It makes it hard to decide what items to keep for global stash and other alts, which is a shame. 30 tabs is a lot. Like, that's a lot of tabs. I don't know that. Maybe the math does work. I don't know. Yeah, 300,000 is a lot, and there's a chance we might look at it again. But if you want us to, please leave a comment on the forums. Suggesting that. I'd be pretty surprised. I mean, I don't think that many stash tabs is something that many people are interested in, and it's sort of a like. I mean, there's another gold sink, right? If you're interested in having more storage space, you can invest in it. The in-game gold. I can see the scaling slowing because right now the scaling's linear. So I can see the scaling slowing down possibly. That might be an option. Because it probably does get a little out of hand at the max. When we put that number in, there was no vault. So it was like the only gold sink really. Oh, I forgot to put that point back in Lightning Blast to cast volume. Alright. Also, don't forget to put at last epoch game in the question, or else I will just gloss right over it. Just trying my luck. Is 0.91 coming next month? No comment. Graduated recently with a CS degree. Y'all hiring a team? Yes, we are. We have a careers page on our website. Go to 11th Hour Games. 11thhourgames.com or 11thhour.games. I don't remember. Sorry. Google 11th Hour Games and it'll show up. That's how I find our website. Anyways, there's a careers page on there. With I have no idea what's posted right now. I'm sorry. So I have no idea if it's something. If there's anything in there you might be interested in, I don't know. I'm sorry, but that's the resource to go to. Hello, Mike. Hello. Did you ever use the build guide for any of the characters you play live? Yes, I have. I've used many build guides to the characters I play live. I've also just used characters that other people have made for me quite a bit as well. That's more common. Alright, it feels like one-handed maces are not used much at the moment. What are your thoughts on this item type and other bases you feel are not used much at the moment? I mean, I think that there's always room for that one new unique, that one new balance change, that one new little thing to like shift the balance of power such that they are all of a sudden picked up en masse. So I don't think that they're so far out of the realm of useful that they're just completely ignored no matter what or anything like that. Love that animation so much. They might be a little underpowered in most cases, but I don't think it's a big concern. It's also not an overly common strong like class fantasy of a mace wielding character that gets brought up very much. So I think that's probably why it gets less focus from us just naturally. This. Gosh, not bad. Should I be? Oh, I'm like I picked up an Ursul's Pride. Should I be using it? No, because it's not as good as the one I already have. So it's going on the ground. This is probably being asked. Maybe that's okay. But any thoughts on putting in a hold position button for minions? Yes, we've talked about this before. Having like stance options for minions. So just be like, these ones are aggressive. These ones are defensive. These ones, only move when you tell them to. That sort of stuff. We've definitely talked about that a fair bit. We almost put it in at one point. We should put it on a roadmap even. But it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Which was really unfortunate. Any plans on updating the Primalist Raptor skill tree or model? Tree, absolutely. Model, I would assume so, but it's definitely not high on the list right now. Do you have a favorite boss fight of all time from any ARPG? Oh. Give me a moment to think about that. I mean, like, do you have a favorite something from any RPG? Like, my mind immediately goes to Diablo 2. Immediately goes to Diablo 2, just like overwhelmingly. It doesn't have super inspired boss mechanics and designs, though. It's not a high point of Diablo 2. It comes from an era before we had really high mechanical complexity for boss fights in RPGs. But the final Pandemonium event fight with in Chaos Tristram, it's just I don't know. I can still remember the first time I did it successfully. So probably that. Either that or the Butcher from Diablo 1, which is it's not even a boss really. And it's one of those things, like, I can also remember the first time that happened because I was so scared I walked away from the computer because I was like a tiny little kid. And yeah, like just that moment of like walking through the first dungeon, and you just hear from around the corner, fresh meat, and you're just like, good lord, get me out of here. And like, first time playing as a little kid, you're never prepared for it, and it just goes horribly. So the audio line from the very first mini boss in Diablo 1 is my answer to that question, I think. Just hit my 1,000th hour, not counting testing. Just want to say thanks for my $35. I got my money's worth. Awesome. I'm glad. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I still get a kick out of hearing stuff like that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. I guess I gotta keep killing you, don't I? Fine. Thanks for your answers. We'll let other people ask questions. Best game I ever played. You guys rock. Thanks. We're getting there. Still lots of room for improvement. Currently, there's not a lot of benefit from running multiple types of companions on your Beastmaster compared to solo or Wolfpack/Crowpack. Do you think the companions' synergies within their skills, similar to Druid form synergies, could be implemented to support Zeus-style Beastmaster? Yeah. So the Raptor, we really tried to, with the Raptor, introduce cross companion synergies. The Raptor has some sort of synergy with, I think, every other companion, partially because the Raptor is the companion you get as the Beastmaster. And it's usually focused around some sort of mechanical change. So like it suddenly synergizes really well with bleed, and there's a whole bunch of bleed nodes on the wolves. Or it suddenly synergizes with poison, and there's a bunch of poison nodes on the scorpion. I never took the cast while node again. It wasn't working. But I think it's going to cause me some problems here. Okay, let me get another question going while I'm doing this. I'm just kind of crappy. Okay. I'm gonna get another question while I do this, I promise. Why does Sentinel have the fewest number of weapons equipable in the offhand? Why no hammer mace offhand? Mostly because 2 hammers or 2 maces feels really weird. And kind of out of place. So you like put hammer mace in their main hand and then put a sword or dagger or whatever we put in the offhand there. Sorry, in the offhand. You know, probably sword or axe. I want to say for Ramos. So you kind of put the, and this is where it gets weird. This is where you put the offhand weapon in your main hand, because usually you think of like in a situation like that, it's like a sword and a mace. The mace is your offhand weapon, so you end up with the main hand weapon in your offhand and the offhand weapon in your main hand. But it's the only way we can do it to have that type of combination function mechanically in the game systems nicely without having some sort of like you can wield a mace in your offhand as long as there's not a mace in your main hand. Like, that just feels weird. Come on, we need some sort of culling. There we go. Little bug there. As soon as the boss dies, everything's supposed to clear. And that guy didn't. The worst. Alright. You mentioned... Oh, here, I see this one. Set items are generally in a bad place, mostly unused. Any plans to change them? I think there's a lot... I think this rhetoric around set items ignores... a lot of good uses that set items do currently have, which is unfortunate because there are more problematic set items than there are non-problematic set items. But I would argue that the ratio of problematic to not problematic set items is actually pretty similar to like Diablo 2, for example, which I would argue has 3 good set items in it. Well, 5. I'll give you 5. Not sets, set items. Anyways, the answer to the question is yes, we do have plans to change the set system in general such that it reflects a better progression into later endgame content and more customization in your gear. You mentioned on Discord briefly that you wouldn't consider spears a thematic weapon for Sentinel. What's the reasoning for that? I think there's more thematic weapons for other... for Sentinel that are not spears as much. There is spear synergy there. I think one-handed spears I don't think makes sense, and maybe that's what I was talking about there. There's definitely spear usage in because we think of like the Sentinel as like a foot soldier in a medieval army. That's sort of the core I guess look for the Sentinel. Is that it's this medieval military character.
Hello,
and there definitely were spears in medieval armies. Come on, respect points. There we go. Okay, good. You can press enter in that window if you didn't know. It's a fairly recent addition if you're an old school player. Sorry, the spear question was quite long, and I'm not going to read it all out loud. Basically, just wanting spears to be more incorporated into Sentinels. And I think that there's... We probably struggled to have the space for them to exist, in that they probably didn't feel overly thematic for a Void Knight, a Paladin, or a Forge Guard. I think that's the hard part is that they didn't feel super thematic for any of the mastery classes, less so that they didn't feel thematic for Sentinel itself.
You've woken. You come. If I. Focus on the potential. As I guide the shades, I see. I menace the seek out the outcast queen.
right.
Will be up to you.
All right. I think we're going high mana on this one, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. So I might just do this for now. So getting some word retention to the build a little bit. Since catalysts are for int spellcasters, and for fighters the option of shield or a second weapon, will there be another option for offhand for attunement casters by Shaman of Scrying? Yeah, I mean, if you think about so shamans are, I don't know a great answer. I always do this. I always run to the right in this zone. Like, can we block this off with like crates or something, please? Love these giant chains. I don't know what gets me with giant chains like that, but I just love it. Alternate offhand options for attunement-based casters. I think there's a lot of thematics in a druid style, like nature themed caster using a big two-handed staff for that character. I think that those thematics are so strong. Is the main reason why we didn't include that type of option.
Stay safe.
Possibility of adding it in the future? Yeah, it's possible. I have no info on if it is going to happen or not. Not for 1.0. There will be no new base class item categories for 1.0, and I don't think we'll be adding attunement-based catalysts for 1.0. Tell you, once that kid went to daycare, sickness in this household went from years since the last time we got sick to weeks. Very quickly. Did you guys already started coding the faction system in the game? Nope, we're still working on the back end. Hello, hope we're working on the back end system for it, for getting the asynchronous trading working, and we're working on the hardest part for that. Weirdly enough, is the filtering, the search and sort filtering systems. Having that function nicely is surprisingly some of the hardest parts for performance and just like volume of calls that have to happen to whatever system we're using back there. And you doing UI prototype mockups right now as well, so still early development on the item factions. Hello, hope you're doing good. Any good bad thoughts about class mastery that play around preparation burst phase akin to wizards in Magicka? You cast buffs and use incant to cast a spell that depends on the buffs. Nothing that I can share with you right now, but I think you should probably remember that a little bit. Regardless of mechanical, technical limitations, would you what would be your dream dungeon, other endgame activity to design? Something where you are physically building a dungeon as you're playing it. I don't know, it would have to be like really fast paced, but simultaneously having this like just making this up off the top of my head here, I think it'd be cool. So having some sort of like almost like a conveyor belt system where things are falling off the belt behind you and new things are getting added in front of you as you're going. And so you're like you can't go back, you can't stop, but you've got to keep building the environment as you're going. So the environment's like constructing and adapting to what you're playing as you're going. I think something like that would be really cool. Yeah, that's hard to come up with on the spot. As I'm thinking about this, I'm like, it would be terrible for so many reasons. All right, next question. Do you plan to have challenges and achievements, accomplishments for each cycle, potentially with MTX rewards? Yes. I think there's sort of like two types of potential MTX rewards for something like that. We haven't really fully discussed or laid this out. I think I do have some thoughts on it. So if I was going to set the system up right now, I think it would look something like there can be achievements for things like simple as just like beating the final boss of the game, unlocking all the monoliths, beating all the monoliths and empowered. Like just landmark achievements like this, like beating all the tier 4 dungeons, beating Shade of Orbis, like just beating certain bosses, like certain like pretty standard achievement fair type things, and having some sort of relatively common, achievable, straightforward MTX that's associated with that. So like oh, you completed all of these things that most characters are going to complete if you're trying to, and giving it some sort of MTX reward. So like a really big hat with a feather in it, and then there's the second category of things where it's like, okay, the like top 4 people or top 10 people who finish the ladder. Or let me see this. Season ends. First place gets this thing. Second place gets this thing. Third place gets this thing, and 4th through 10th gets this other thing. Something like that. And I think that if we were going to do something like that, which I don't think we've talked about explicitly if we are or not, but if we were going to do something like that, the way I'd really like to see it happen is that reward being a little bit more generic, and have it be, so say that maybe there's like 10 rewards that can come from specifically doing well in the ladder. So like ladder cycle rewards, like competitive ladder cycle top spot MTX rewards, things like that, where it's like, okay, you're really awesome at the ladder, you got this reward. And I'd love to see like a pool of those things that each have a cost. So like kind of like a different virtual currency that you can earn through competing in the ladder. So like maybe if you get first place, you get 10 crests of valor, and if you get second place, you get 5 crests of valor, and if you get down the line, and 10th place gets like 1 crest of valor, and it's still cool and everything like that. But if you trade in like 3 crests of valor, you can get this sweet NTX chess piece. If you trade in like 8 crests of valor, you can get this even more ridiculously sweet pet that follows you around, or something like that. I don't know. And so if you wanted to unlock one of these things, you could. You just have to, and like maybe if you won, you'd get like 2 of them. You'd have enough to just like buy 2 of them right away. If you came like 3rd 8 seasons in a row, you'd be able to get the same thing. Something like that. I don't know. I'm pulling ratios and numbers out of my butt here, but that's the style of system I'd probably pitch for it if I was going to pitch a system like that. Because it does a few things. I think it does really well, because it would, and there might be holes in this. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much. But one thing that I think it does really well is it means we don't have to make 10 unique rewards every cycle for this. So that cuts down on development time, which is great, which I just thought of. But the other thing it does is if someone didn't quite do well enough to get the thing they were after, they can come back next cycle and finish earning it. They still have to do well again. And maybe they do well enough that maybe we're adding in like 1 new one to the pool every cycle or something like that. And taking 1 out of the pool every cycle. I don't know. It's all getting made up as we go here, but I think something like that would be really good, where you can still work towards earning it if you didn't quite achieve it the first time around. So there's not this like, oh well, I came 6th instead of 5th, and I didn't get this thing I was hoping for, and it was only for that one cycle, and now it's gone forever, and I can't get it, and all my time that I just put into that was just completely wasted. I think that would feel really bad. Especially with, like, coming so close and failing. But knowing that you could still get it if you just played next cycle, and did similarly well, I think would be comforting. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? That's something I'd be interested in hearing about, if people like or don't like the idea of having MTX rewards. And I say MTX rewards, so cosmetic rewards is really what it would be. Cosmetic rewards for top tier achievements in cycles. Do you encourage people to get teleports to the end of time for alts? How do you feel about that? I encourage people who are extremely against doing a campaign run to do that. If it's just something that you know you're gonna absolutely hate and you have to avoid it at all costs, yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go for someone who feels that way. Generally, I think if it's your first time, especially if it's your first time playing that class, I would really suggest not doing that. Just because there's a lot of growth that happens in the unlocking process, in playing through the campaign, in facing these different, easier challenges with these new skill sets and these new options available to you that maybe you haven't tried before and gone through these things. I think there's a lot of good learning that happens there. My DPS is poo-poo garbage town, and it's showing, and I'm realizing that I'm using a wand that I literally picked up 15 levels ago and haven't touched since. So as soon as this fight's done, I'm gonna do a little bit of crafting, I think. I keep forgetting that I don't have the casting node for Lightning Blast. Alright, set items are in a... I think that's a duplicate question. If I missed your question, please don't re-ask it unless you've clearly seen me ask a question after it. Answer a question after it already. If you can help it. And if it's not a duplicate, I'm sorry. It looks very similar. Any plans to convert shards we have with significant stash to others? Yes. Even if it's a random skill shard or something, for example. Yeah, there's definitely plans to convert them at a loss in bulk. So, like, 20 strength shards for 5 intelligence shards. I don't know what the ratio is going to be, but something along those lines in style. Oh, we got Meteor, didn't we? Do we switch Meteor in? Those we're gonna be using. I think we do. Even though we're not spec'd into it. We're gonna spec into it. 35's the next one? Yeah, what are we at? 26? It's a ways off. Do we get rid of Flame Ward? I don't use it, so probably. How do you move a stash tab to a different stash category? Can't figure it out. I think if you just right click on the tab, it brings up the settings for it. Or if you, there might be like a configure button. I can't remember what. Oh, I guess I can just go look. Let's go find out for you, huh? There's a little drop down, basically. Yeah, you right click on it. And then we can move it, and now it's in category 2. Move it around. Good to go. I should probably dump some stuff here while I've got you here. Let's get those uniques out of here. And you know what? We're gonna take a quick look at this. Lightning crit. I mean, that's probably just better as is, isn't it? Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do a little crafting. Let's have some fun, see what we get. Let's discover this last one. Ignite. Not huge on the ignite. I just want spell damage. Yeah. Like anything else now to it? No. That's fine. Even better. Cold. Let's see if we can roll that into something good. Cast speed. It's not bad. I don't know why I'm burning these on these casts that I know are going to be kind of whatever. It's not avoidance. Yeah. Let's get a couple idols as well. Just because I feel myself slowing down pretty hard. Sun wounds. Cold. Armor fire res. Sure. Ignite alley res. These aren't pretty, but better than nothing. Why isn't that taking us to... That's a bug. It's okay. Any discussion on Beastmaster pet variety? Seems like wolf squirrels are the main endgame build with very few solo pet builds or builds involving other creatures. I think this is similar to the question I was asked earlier, but there's a little bit of a twist here. I think the bear, sabertooth, especially, and scorpion and raptor to some degree as well, are very old skills that are in need of some love. Ironically, wolf is the oldest of them, but it has had a lot of love, and a lot of love recently. Yeah, I mean, Stun Immunity is just so good. One more in there, sure, why not? Any plans for controller support improvements? Yes. Hello, I love this game, thank you. I got a question of gender lock for classes will be permanent, thanks. It will, at launch, at 1.0 launch, classes will be gender locked. We know that for certain. It is, we know it's a topic that a lot of people feel very strongly about. I think people either feel like most people, not everyone, but I think most people fall into two camps when it comes to character customization and more specifically gender locking for characters in ARPGs. Specifically, I'm talking about ARPGs. And I think most people fall into the camp of you absolutely have to have it or else, and I think those are like the two camps. It's just like no question has to be there, yes, and could not care less. It's very extreme reactions. And I know there's lots of people that fall in the middle on a lot of that stuff, but I think for the most part that's where most people fit. Oh, all this talking. I haven't coughed for like much at all, but then I start talking like crazy for an hour, and I was like, oh, yes. I'm coughing now.
Godspeed with you.
But as far as getting that in, it is a feature that we want to add. We do want to add character customization. We do want to open up the gender options if we can. We definitely don't have a time frame on when we think that's going to be possible. It's a considerable amount of work, and I think there's a lot of things that don't seem like they're part of that that are. So like all of the equipment models need to be set up to work on different body shapes. All of the voice lines need to be re-recorded for multiple genders. The dialogue all needs to. I guess the dialogue right now kind of addresses you because there are multiple genders. So the dialogue probably wouldn't have to change much. The dialogue changes in languages that have gendered language, like where a chair can have to have a gender. In some languages is really tricky thing to work around and reconcile. Been working on localization lately, and it sucks. But it's a really important thing for a lot of people, so we want to do it. Yeah, so the gender locking thing, there's a lot going on with it that might not be obvious that needs to happen because of it. But we're working on it. Or we may work on it eventually. We probably will work on it eventually. We're not working on it right now. Sorry. We're working on localization right now. Oh, hello, I love this game. Answer that. I just want to say I love this game again. May have been asked before, that's okay. My first time catching this live. Any plans to add more potions like you'd see in PoE? No, actually we don't. We for quite a while had a potion system that was very similar to Diablo 3's. Whereby there was a like an augment you could get to your potion slot. So you'd find a unique potion, put it in your potion slot, and that like changes what your potion slot is. And after that, for a little while, we kind of realized that there's a bit of a disconnect in how that really works, because like you're finding this liquid on the ground, and as you've picked it up, and it's in a bottle already, and like the act of you picking it up changes it somehow. And I think this helps a little bit, but it's kind of that same disconnect is kind of still there. We've taken the properties for potion, like for different potions, different effects on potions, and we primarily put them on belts. I think there's room. I think we've agreed that there's room for them on rings and gloves as well, if it's like a unique. But general properties for modifying potions are going to be just sitting on belt slots. I like this. Just gonna get teleporting strikes here and call it a day. Just cast Meteor and mine are bigger. Oh gosh, sorry about that. Hope you're having a great day. I'm having a pretty good day overall, actually. You know what I haven't done? I haven't shared a spoiler at all. Let's take a second to this. This is a neat little time-lapse video of stuff being made. Alright. Do you have plans to replace model XP bonus for something useful if you're already level 100? Not at the moment. It is useful though, because if you want to respec, you can do it right before getting one of those, and you basically just get it for free. Plan to make auto aim optional. I think that's in the works, but I'm not sure. Hello there. Hello. Any info on fixing this, please? That Korean haircut drives me crazy. Oh, that Karen haircut. Wow. Didn't you? Are you talking about this? What? I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. About my haircut? I don't think that's... Alright, spears are one of the most used weapons in military. Why do so many video games neglect this? Is it hard to animate? It's no harder than anything else, really. I think this may have come in before I said what I was talking about when I realized what it was that I was trying to say about them not being as thematic for specifically Void Knight, Paladin, and Forgebird. Are there any plans to make corruption better, for example, affect LP, etc.? We have no plans to make corruption affect LP drop chances. It indirectly already does because you're finding more uniques. Any chance to get the same question? Is that I'm playing with something on my screen? I'm sorry. Come on, there we go. Is that unique spear that converts javelin to lightning just feels weird when a node does the same thing? Yeah, so sometimes we intentionally put the an effect in two places at once that are you intentionally want to take together, and don't really have any bonus for taking together. And a lot of times it's a signaling device, so it's saying like, okay, here's this item that's really good with lightning conversion javelin. Also, it just converts lightning to javelin in case you missed that it was really good with that, because it's really obvious now. So sometimes it's just a signposting thing. So that happens a few places, like cold conversion, shout, or warcry, sorry, and the helmet, the big antler helmet. I don't remember the name, sorry. Do you have any plans to fine-tune corruption so it's more meaningful to increase? Maybe. I don't. There's no like fix corruption task on the task tracker or anything like that. If that's what you're wondering. Let me in. This is a quest that people miss a lot, and usually it's just like they haven't walked close enough to trigger some enemy to like stand up. So if you're stuck here, that's probably what's happening. Noise. Alright. Started playing last night. Awesome. Enjoying so far. Appreciate the controller support and hope it gets better. It will, as the game continues to be worked on. Beta and all that. Also, will subtitles for cinematics be added later? Yeah, the whole cinematic system is completely being overhauled. Here. Pinnacle bosses considered dungeon bosses, or will there be more PoE style Pinnacle sneak peek into names? I was gonna say the titular bad guy, but there's no bad guy in the title. But we're in a world of Diablo with no Diablo at the moment. Let's put it that way. Yes is the answer. Oh, sorry. I guess no is the answer because well, it's an orc question. We're gonna add more. There's more big baddies coming. Don't worry. I'd say like T4 dungeon bosses will always be very high tier content, but Pinnacle content. Oh, that's a lot of deeps right there. Yes, it is. But they're not designed to be Pinnacle content. I think anything that's designed to be Pinnacle content probably shouldn't have a mechanically the same low tier version of it. So I think having a you can have a boss come back and be mechanically distinct. So you can have a boss like show up as like, oh, there's this person you're fighting, this knight you're fighting that's really difficult, and he uses like a big two-handed sword. It's real hard fight and everything in the campaign, and then later comes back as like oh, he turns out he's like the big bad guy, the whole thing, but this time like his armor's broken off and he's got two swords and he's way faster and does way more damage now, and like it's a pretty simplistic example, but I think something like that's probably better than just here's the same boss but stronger, as we do with the dungeon tier system at the moment. And it's not entirely true. There are slight differences in the mechanics for dungeon tier increases for the dungeon bosses, but nothing substantial really. There's no new abilities that show up or anything like that. It's the abilities they have are a little bit different. Cooldowns are changed. For example, when you're fighting the heart of the mountain, there's an ability that starts like this and it like spreads outwards like that. The point to which it stops is different for each tier, so you have like less safe space to hide in, which I really like. I think that's a very nice touch. Will there be a beta for new classes before 1.0, or is it just when classes will ship? We do have a closed testing environment called Community Testers that will likely see some of the content for Masters a little bit earlier. Not substantially, I don't think. It'll be more of a, like, we're ready to go, and, like, let's make sure we just didn't miss something colossal here and have some people take a look at it type thing. Do you have any plans for an endgame system where you can decide your own risk-reward system? Kind of like the Monolith, question mark? Kind of like PoE maps where you can juice it to max or it becomes super dangerous, also give a lot more rewards. Kind of like the Monoliths? So some affixes in game right now that you generally want to have in your build, but you don't really want to be exalted like Frailty. Oh, I see what you're saying. Just certain affixes are better than other affixes. There's more power budget on like weapon prefixes than there are on weapon suffixes for the most part. Any chance these other affixes get some kind of charge up for once they drop as exalted affixes, like maybe turning into a hybrid affix? A hybrid affix has to be a hybrid affix from the start. The way it's set up, it can't turn into a hybrid affix, I don't think. Could be wrong about that. Short answer is probably not. If we were going to do something like that, I think it would just be, let's just turn up the numbers on them at all tiers type thing. Is more likely what would happen, I think. Okay, I'm going to take this note again. Let's try it out. It's working now. Wonder what happened there. That's weird. It's really weird. Lightning. That's what I'm talking about. Mana. Yes, please. Uh-huh. 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 Resistances are looking a little shoddy. Are there plans for benchmark in-game bosses near impossible to kill unless you have best in slot gear, best in slot build? Best in slot. Yeah, maybe. I think the line there is a little blurred because, like, that would preclude many builds from ever having a chance of doing it. But I think there is room for, and we would like to add in pinnacle boss content. I just don't want to comment really on the difficulty, relative difficulty of that. Notice that servers are lagging worse than they do when 0.9 dropped. You might be having worse lag, but overall the lag we're seeing in our metrics is down. Did you scale back your infrastructure due to drop in players? Nope. That's not what it is. The infrastructure never actually capped out. Which I know sounds ridiculous, but it never capped out. Is that a real Hylian shield? It is made of wood, unfortunately. But it is very heavy, and would definitely hold up to being attacked by something like this a little bit. Which is pretty long. This thing's a little frustrating because there's these spikes right here. So if you hold it, like you're supposed to hold it, where like the line of like the blade goes in line with your hand, and it comes down. I can't do this, my ceiling's too low. But my hand hits this spike right here. Hurts. Can't really use it properly. Something about printing some caps for it or something, or I don't know. I'm gonna mount it though. What would be the most OP skill if you get all of the nodes? I don't know. I mean, there's skills that would just become terrible if you took all the nodes, really, because there's things that conflict with each other. I don't know, meteor, something huge like that. I know we ask it every week. Is there a time frame for when supporter packs will be available again? I love the game, and outside of Twitch, I would love to support it further. I don't know. I really hope soon. I would say the soonest it will happen would be the next content patch. But I don't have a time frame for it. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I still don't know why they're not out yet, and I would really like them to be out now. Are there any plans to make a toggle on-off for auto aim as it currently breaks some builds, making them unplayable? For example, marrow shards. What is going with bone curse bugs? Why so long in the game? We usually, as far as bug duration fixing, sometimes it's just something is the difficulty to severity ratio is not high enough, or is too high, and it gets pushed down the list because there's a huge list of bugs. So if we say like, okay, well here's 5 bugs that each of them will take an hour to fix, and they're each very bad. And here's one bug that will take 50 hours to fix, and it's not actually that bad. I don't know the bug you're talking about, but this is just an example of why a bug might be not fixed as quickly as others. So like someone who's maybe working on something really big and just wants a little task to work on in between will maybe take one of those little skill bugs and hammer it out in between other tasks. But they don't have time to slip those little skill bug fixes into in between tasks when it's a really major one, maybe. And I have no idea which one you're talking about specifically, so I apologize if this is irrelevant, but just a little look in how the prioritization works for which bugs we fix. Usually it's a ratio, it's some combination of severity and difficulty and popularity. We have sort builds in something if you need help. Thanks, Lizard. Probably. But I'm more here to answer questions than play the game. The playing the game is more just because I like playing the game, so I'm just mucking about. If you're here trying to get information on optimal gameplay patterns and good builds and things like that, you're in the wrong place. There are many other very skilled content creators that make sweet builds that you should go to instead for stuff like that. I can't but help but feel that the new PoE Crucible meta build Explodey Totems was inspired by Ellie Druid Totem Pop Poison Cold build. I'd be pretty surprised. The whole like did they take stuff from us? Did we take stuff from them? Conversation comes up a fair bit, and it's pretty hard to have completely original ideas, and stuff sits in the pipe for a long time before it actually gets released. Definitely more than once we've had unreleased content that PoE has released that we know they had no idea about, that was so similar that we're like, we got to change this a little bit. Like we just have to change it. There's been terminology that we've used that we've released first and they've come out with afterwards, but it's like been slightly different what it does and things like that. I don't think that was a reaction to what we did. I think that was just they had it in their pipe for a while and released it. So I don't think PoE really takes too much inspiration from us. They might though. That'd be pretty cool if they did. Leaks? I got one more for you. I'm not coming flush with leaks right now. I'm sorry, but you know I might pop one out here. Yeah, let's. Next. Let me finish this, and then I'll pop up a leak for you. How far behind am I? I need timestamps for this. I need to figure out a way to do that. What's your favorite class master to play and why? It's Rogue, specifically Marksman. I like the I like the freneticness of it. If that's a term. Are Pinnacle bosses considered dungeon? Oh, I didn't answer that. Super curious what y'all using code for the backend. Former web dev who knows who does platform now. Game dev's always been an interest. So there's different things for different parts of it. The main game is coded in C#. There's other stuff for other stuff. Vast majority of everything is C#. Will you be releasing paid expansions like Diablo 2 and Grim Dawn? We don't plan to. It has an unfortunate side effect of splitting the player base, and we'd like so say someone's in the situation where like they played a bunch for a few years and then they've kind of fell off, and then this friend of theirs starts playing and they're like, oh, come play with me, the new cycle just launched, oh, I'll hop in, oh, but I don't have the latest expansion, I don't know if I'm really gonna like play or if I'm just gonna like dip my toes in for a bit, and then they're not sure if they want to like drop $35 on like an expansion, or however much expansions are these days, I don't know. And we just think that there's we'd rather just keep the content flowing and have it be something that anyone can access if they've just bought the game. So it's once you got the game, you got the game. Oh my goodness, got stunned. Wasn't he supposed to come out during the fight? Or is that another fight? That's when Harden's fight. Never mind. Alright, next question. Let's try and get it in while I'm doing this. Don't forget to put @last Epoch game in the question. I'm sorry, it wasn't your haircut. It was Rogue's Karen style haircut. Posted the link in chat, probably filter it out. Link was to LE Forum report, first week, 0.9, wearing exile hat as Rogue used sync strike, makes model disappear. Ah. I don't think there's any plans to change the Rogue's haircut. Do you plan on removing or changing the revive mechanic for Primalist Companions? No. Currently, it feels rather hinders your gameplay, stopping standing still for a while, reviving a companion while enemies hit you. It's really part of the core class identity of a Primalist that it is that the companions are part of your team. They're not just a tool to be used. They're a companion for adventuring. They're someone that grows with you and learns with you, and you build a connection with as you're going through this adventure together. And having them just be oh, it died, leave it behind, on to the next one, just resummon it, it goes against that from such a core thematic standpoint that that's what really drove the creation of this mechanic. Personally, I really like it. I know not everyone does. But we don't have plans to remove it wholesale. Also, if you're playing multiplayer, your friends can help you revive your minions. So if you're like trying to be ranged and you have a melee minion that's trying to keep things away from you, and it does die, and you've got that sentinel buddy who's up close and personal in the front lines, they can just stand there and revive it for you as well. Hi! Can you tell what the purpose of Future Strike for Sentinel? It's just a cool, unique mechanical ailment. Ability thing? Yeah. What do you think of lowering the leveling process for normal monos so farming them is meaningful and not just rush as fast as possible, skip empowered right now? Normal monos feel bad as your first character. Feel bad after your first character. I think that there is room for a system which increases the speed at which empowered monoliths are unlocked at for secondary characters, for follow-up characters, for not your initial first character. I think it's probably too gentle of a wording for that. I think there's a need for some system that increases the speed at which you unlock empowered monoliths for follow-up characters. Just straight up reducing the number for follow-up characters is not something we're interested in, because like there's a few issues there, but I think that we do have a system planned, hopefully for next patch, that will start the ball on that process a little bit. It's still a little up in the air, so maybe not. That guy startled me. He came out of nowhere. He's coming right at me! He's coming right at me! Oh no, it's fine.
Welcome, traveler.
What? Oh, you keep this, don't you? No?
Welcome, traveler.
There we go.
May Terra smile upon you.
Alright, next question. Oh, get out of there. Just gonna eat some damage. No big deal. Starting to get shock supplied a little bit, which is good.
Welcome, traveler.
Thank you.
May Terra smile upon you.
Oh, so nice. Oh, yeah, I was gonna do another thing. I forgot. Here's a thing! It looks cool. I like it. Have you any chance to improve the graphics of the game to match a bit more with the upcoming RPGs D4 and PB? I mean, we have our own style that we like to stick to and explore and expand on, like our own style instead of just copying something else. But we are always working on improving the graphics and the quality of the visuals in the game. Personally, I think it looks gorgeous. I would compare them directly. I would compare our graphics with other games in the genre and be happy with that comparison, but not content. What do you think of XP Shrine giving different effect after you hit 100? I think that it's not the end of the world that it's a little bit of burned XP, but I could be wrong. Spontaneous idea for a skill passive node for minion armor shred. Filet mignon. mignon, nice. A lot of people that are having lag is probably related to the auto server select, like you were talking about last week. I got connected to the Southeast Asia the first 2 times I logged in. Finally got US East, although I live in Colorado. Pretty sure US East is the only US server at the moment. Is not. Definitely not. I'm connected to US West right now. I should be anyways. Yeah, there's US West. Which you should probably be on the same server if you're in Colorado. Are you planning on character customization? I talked about this a lot earlier. Generally speaking, we would like to get it in if we can, but it's definitely not for 1.0. We don't think it's a high impact feature, and there's a lot more high impact features that we want to get in first. Not sure if this has already been asked, but any plans to shorten the time it takes to get get 2 empowered monos, namely have to do 3 different 90s. I think that doing the 3 different 90s will probably stick around, but we do have, like I mentioned earlier, a plan for something that will shorten that time, at least somewhat. What are the plans with player collision with mobs? In single player, there's still collision greatly affecting gameplay. I assume servers affecting its state now. I wonder if he's coming back. There was something we just did about this, I think. I think there's some problem in multiplayer with the collision. Probably nothing anytime soon. I like swapping gear for situations. Can we make it so removing plus skill gear always removes the same chosen skill points? It does. Weapon swap function planned? No. I tried real hard. But I failed. I still have it on another branch on my computer that I use sometimes for fun. Or option hold shift to equip a second, and equip for a second slot. Like just so you can put something into the offhand, maybe. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Fixing the alleyway in the desert, the projectiles for the past year, it tickled me when I reached it, and they worked normally. Glad it worked for you. If you remove the need to go through the first regular monos, if you had more regular updates, I guarantee this game would be more popular. Thanks for the tip. What will be available for purchase in the cash shop? When is that launching? Really strictly, because I'm kind of just burning through these right now because I'm very falling behind and the stream's getting close to an end and I want to get through all these as possible. So sorry, we're just sitting here answering questions for a little bit. What will be available for purchase in the cash shop, and will that launching? When is that launching? Oh, words are hard. Very strictly cosmetic only items. So these are things that change the visual look of your character in game and have no mechanical impact whatsoever. We're not going to sell stash tabs. We're not going to sell convenience items or speed up items or any of that stuff. So you'll look different. The question then often comes up is, well, will I have to buy things in order to even look remotely cool? To which I usually just zoom in on whatever character I'm playing and be like, no, look, how cool does this look? The things that will show up in the MTX shop at like the really expensive stuff that's there will be things that have more VFX associated with it, more flash, more pizzazz, more zhuzh, things like that. But staying in universe as well. How important or pivotal is it for EHG to maintain and keep skills that require a high player skill, balanced and playable? These skills keep players coming back to master the game for numerous hours. I feel like there's a lack of care in this area recently by EHG. Ouch. I'm not really sure how to answer this. I think that having skill power reflect player power is fantastic. And we do often put nodes in. Nodes do show up in skill trees. Often's a bad word. Sometimes nodes show up in skill trees where we're like, this node's not actually good. But if someone doesn't want to take the time to actually play with this carefully, I guess might be the word. Put the time and effort into learning how to play with this really well. We'll put nodes in and be like, this is for the lazies, and like totally legitimately like expect people to play with it and unironically enjoy it. And we do put nodes in that we're like, this is going to be tough to play with, but if you can master it, it's going to be really strong. Maybe we don't do that enough. I don't know. Will the Rune Master have a pet like a water elemental or something? When I play the mage, I feel strongly missing some kind of pet. Well, Warlock does have access. Oh, will Rune Master have a pet? Sorry, I said Warlock. Will Rune Master have a pet? There's... I don't actually have an answer for this right now. Weirdly enough. Maybe. 2 weeks ago I would have said no. There's the 5th skill slot for Rune Master is actually back up for negotiation. After it got incorporated into one of the other skills. Thanks for hearing the community. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Do you have endgame content coming before 1.0 and are not dungeons, like for example an endless progression after level 100? I mean, there's the arena for that and the monolith for that. So, no. But we do have improvements to the monolith coming. Oh my gosh, I made it to the end. It's only 2 minutes past. Are you guys okay with lazy builds being able to progress highly, or do you prefer balance those out? I think that if there was a build where I'm gonna use really extreme examples here. Let's say there was a build where you could only ever use one button, and that button was move. So you just set all your other things to autocast, just never cast them, and you literally just walked. Never did anything other than walk. The only active actions you took in the game were moving your character. That was the only thing you ever did. And it was a highly competitive build, and like a top tier build. And people were like, let's make a build tier list, and this thing's in S class. It would probably get nerfed. So it was only A class. You know, like that's something like that. We don't look at builds and say, okay, well, this one's more complex and more difficult to play, so it should be more powerful. We don't do that. But I think that there should be some consideration for putting in a little bit more effort. And having a build sit at like like a pinnacle build, be like, all right, this is the build where you go and you're like, this is the D2 Hammerden, except you only ever walk anywhere. You don't do anything else. That's something we'd probably like to avoid. And I specifically am trying to call out like D2 Hammerden because like it's the most powerful build in that game. Period. There's other things that are extremely good, but Hammerden wins. And yes, there's situations where Hammerden's not the best, yada yada yada, but like, broadly speaking, it's the one. Alright, couple more while we're here. We're winding down. I'm gonna cut this off at some point, because I did make it to the end. Do you guys plan to add auto pickup for shards? No. From what I understand, y'all don't have any intentions of adding an armory type system. It's something to D3 armory where you can just click a button and switch builds. It adjusts everything, your equipment, your skills, talents, everything. But there's some plans to include a way to easily swap between builds for class, or the intention for us just to make multiple characters for all of our builds. We don't have any plans for a system to wholesale swap large sections of your build over from one to another at the moment. Any plans for I just answered that. Any new class skills in the future? Yes, lots. If you had to remove reflect and stun avoidance affixes, what would you replace these with right now? They're both useless affixes. well, I'm gonna hard disagree with your premise. Completely disagree with your premise there. It is absolutely wrong. If you had to remove, if I had to remove them completely, what would I replace them with? I don't know. I would replace them with each other. I'd replace Reflect with Stun Avoidance and Stun Avoidance with Reflect. Nailed it. All right. That's gonna about do it for me today. I hope you had fun. I know I did. We'll be here same time, same place next week, and we can hang out some more. It's been a while since we've gone to say hi. Is Ichi currently content with players' capability to target individually high-threat enemies with every ability in the game? I don't think that's true either. How does this all impact players' ability to be competitive? I'm sorry, that's... Ask me next week. It's a little deep question to go into right at the very end. That'll do it for us today. We're finished. Have a good day. We'll see you next time. Have a lovely day. Drink more water.